Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Estes and Gainz with Doc Donnie. I am Dr. Hayes Estes. I'm a doctor of physical therapy. Donnie, who are you?
Hi.
Who is your daddy?
And what
does he do?
Well, I am Donnie Kiernan. I am a strength coach right here in Clearwater, Florida.
Steven Seagal?
Yes, exactly. Steven Seagal. I actually have the same body weight as Steven Seagal now, actually, as well. Yeah, except I'm way stronger than he is.
Okay.
He may be able to kick my ass, but I'm going to out-squat him. That's all that matters in life. That's what I've heard. Anyway, yep. So, yeah, I like to say some funny stuff and then do some serious stuff every now and then. So here we are. And this is actually one of my favorite, one of my topics, not favorite topics, but a great topic that means a great deal to me. And I'm glad we're going to be talking about it and airing some things out here because from the clinical side of it, I'm sure there is plenty of stuff that we can talk about here, but also from the anecdotal and also from the parts that I've interviewed with, talked to people in the industry. I have a lot of knowledge on this. So we're going to get right into it.
Well, we are.
We're going to get right into it because I want to talk about this stuff. So we're talking about reintegration.
Okay.
Oh, wait, do you got something you want to talk about?
I don't.
You got something funny you want to say?
Let's go. No, we were talking before about how the Rays stink. But that's fine.
Oh, you mean the AL leading Rays?
Oh, the AL leading Rays. Right,
Yeah,
cool.
yeah,
That's right.
okay.
There are at least 3 teams in the NL that have better records. That's fine. That's fine. One of them may happen to reside in San Francisco, but that's cool. That's right. All right, Evan Longoria.
There you go. Thanks for taking our the guy we got the most out of, and you got the big contract out of.
That's fine.
Fantastic. Great.
All right.
Good. Maybe you can do that again for us. We'll send Kiermaier your way later on.
Sure. That's fine.
Okay, now we're going to get serious.
You know what? They are athletes,
Yes, they are.
and at some point they're going to stop playing professional
And
baseball.
hopefully for you, it's Longoria it's soon.
Yeah.
I used to like him as a Ray.
Right.
But anyway, here we go.
Right.
Yes.
So we were talking about the life after competitive athletics and mental health, mental stability, and essentially kind of being a normal person in society once you are no longer a competitive athlete.
And here's where the average person is going to be rolling their eyes, going, "Oh, poor millionaire has to be a normal person." Not the millionaires.
No. We're not talking. Yes, we're not talking about those. We're talking about collegiate athletes who, once they graduated at 22, had to learn how to be normal. We're talking about maybe like your minor leaguer who stayed in the minor leagues for 10 years, couldn't quite make it, but was an athlete and got paid to do that, and now has decided to retire. And we're talking about even your lower level professionals who, rode the bench, rode the pine. They still had to engage in the rituals and the rigors of daily grind of their sport, and now they're done. They've kind of decided to hang it up, and here they are. What do we do? What do we do after life? So full disclosure, was not a collegiate athlete. I did play 3 sports growing up in high school. I still do participate in recreational sports and some events in the area. But I see a lot of athletes and. There was a day when I was forced to stop competing at a higher level due to injury. That's got me to where I am today. But Donnie is here. Donnie is a veteran, and similar type of circumstances, going from a lifestyle of daily, nonstop rituals and rigors and training, and then one day that stopped, and you had to return to society. So I'm going to just kind of let you kind of lead the way with this one, and I will chime in with some evidence and some recommendations from the science field.
I like it.
As needed. So
I want to start off with something here, and this is something that's going to hurt because most of people out there don't enjoy their jobs. It's a means to an end.
Right.
You make money so you can go home to your house and watch your TV and drink your beer and drive your boat or something like that. You don't enjoy what you do. So you have to understand these people not only enjoyed it, lived, breathed, eat, slept. This was it. This is it. For some people, sports is an escape. For these people, it was reality. It was their lives. Whatever they did outside of that was just extracurricular. But baseball, other sports, football, anything, any kind of sport that you dedicate your life to a point where you go past Little League or you go past high school into college professional ranks, you have to live it in order to be there because you're talking about the best of the best. So we'll start off with that. These people not only enjoyed their job, but it was their life. So now they're 25 years old, and things they've done since they were 7 years old is no longer the main part of their life anymore. Now it's something they used to do. And most times these guys don't move into an after. You don't have a transition. Oh, we're going to go to slow pitch softball. You're done. You're done with the sport. The sport is done with you. So now you have to understand, how do I go from this is all I've ever known to, okay, what's the new start? What am I doing next? Maybe I didn't go to college. Maybe I went straight into the minor leagues. Maybe I got a fluff college degree because I was too worried about playing. So I have a degree in international studies, something. And not to discount that, but it's not going to lead you into a lucrative career right off the bat. So what do? You do. So of course, whenever the unknown is looming, human beings, we're fearful of it. It's our nature. We don't know what it is. We like structure. We like homeostasis. We like to know what every day is going to be like for the most part.
So when you returned from the service, did you combat?
Yeah, I went
overseas. Combat, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
When you returned from the service, or when you left the service, tell us, what was like the first few weeks, months, year like when you came back?
First few weeks, joyous. You're home. It's great. I'm back to my family. I was a newlywed at the time. Back to my family. But then you realize quickly that life stopped for me when I went overseas. Everything stopped because I was over there. When I left from here, in your mind, the expectation is you come back the next day. It's been months, year, whatever these guys dealt with. Mm-hmm. But the reality of it is, for people back here, life didn't stop. My wife at the time was going to school. She had just go to school. I came back and I'm like, I'm here. I've been gone.
Let's party.
Show me attention.
Right.
Show me. It wasn't that way, so it's tough to deal with that. So as you move on, you realize, okay, life didn't stop. Everything was normal. You're not that special. Boom, boom, boom. Okay, the realization sets in. You got to join back into. I had to go back to work. Mm-hmm. Do this kind of stuff. So the readjustment part of it, that was the biggest part of my issues. I actually had to have counseling for that, for readjusting back into civilian life. It was tough. So I did it. So in the same aspect, these guys are readjusting from this and that. So they don't know what to do. So of course we freak out. And now, unfortunately, whenever you're unsure of things, we reach for crutches. Crutches tend to be good things sometimes. The gym, relationships that you just jump into or whatever like this. But also they tend to be bad. Alcohol, drugs, things that are not productive for your life. So these are things that these athletes several times get into. A lot of times we're talking now. Some of them have means. Some of them come out with money. They saved well. They did whatever. So now you have means, and then you go into the non-productive coping mechanisms. Mm-hmm. So it's a tough thing. So tell me what the science is saying about what happens to these athletes. The first couple months or a year post career. When you're dealing.
I was kind of more curious about your mental state of you didn't have to wake up at the crack of dawn and do PT mm-hmm. Or train or go and do the skills practice that you needed to do. So what was that like when you didn't have to wake up so early anymore, and how did you adjust to that?
Just like anything else, when you come out. You're like, okay, I'm good. I don't have to do it anymore. You enjoy it. But then you miss the rigors.
Yeah.
You miss it. And you miss the camaraderie. You miss the suffering with people who are suffering too.
Right.
And in training and athletes, you're missing things in life, but everyone around you is also missing things in life. You're dedicating to this. They miss the life that they're having, but everybody else is doing it as well. Mm-hmm. So you have that camaraderie of, hey, we're in this together. And you know what? You can say whatever. Sports is a luxury. Get it. But when it's all it has its effects on you, just like anything else.
Yeah.
Just like people who retire from an industry they've been in 40 years. They're going to, whether they made a lot of money, whether they're successful or not, they're going to miss that aspect of it. So yes, there is an immediate gratification of, wow, I don't have to do this anymore. But shortly after that, it turns into, damn, I wish I was doing this. And then you have this, and this is why a lot of people get out and get back into the military. they miss it. They forget the bad. They have this euphoric recall of nothing but the good, and then they get back in. So yeah, absolutely.
So what if you don't mind my asking, tell me about kind of your mental state. So, it went from euphoria, you're back home, you're free from the confines of the U.S. government,
Yep.
and you can do whatever you want to do. So then, what happened? What was the transition? And tell me, if you can, about like once you started to kind of freak out a little bit. What happened there?
I myself, unfortunately, anger took over. I got angry.
Right.
At what? I don't know. Anger took over, and it was projected upon my family and my friends around me. So, and I'm not an angry person by nature. I'm not. So I realized something was wrong. So I did the only thing that I knew how to do at that time frame, which was torture my body, aka heavy weights, excessive strength training,
Right.
Going and diving into this. So I mean, it was better than drugs and alcohol, but it was simply a coping mechanism until I could figure out how the hell to deal with this. And so that was how I dealt with it. I just went back to what I knew, torturing my own body, the masochism inside of me.
Right. So, we know that, is that, sports is not just physical, it's mental, right? So it takes a lot of strength in both realms. And so it also takes a lot of energy in both realms. And so once you stop with that competition, you need to find a way to kind of to fill that void, so to speak. And so, eating disorders are more prevalent, in the average population than in athletes compared to the average population. Drug abuse is prevalent in retired athletes and former athletes because they need something to kind of help them feel that high, that competitive high that they got from competition, working, competing against others. They need that. Some people cope with it by doing kind of the route that you did, where it's all right. Well, I'm just going to keep working out every single day, all the time, and I'm going to that eating disorder that I had, it's still there. Some people fall off and go the complete opposite direction. These are things that. Which we're here to try to help deal with. Again, neither of us are psychologists, but we work with athletes on a regular basis. We have some level of athletic prowess that we've had, and so we've dealt with it. And obviously Donnie with his veteran service, his veteran experience. So that's kind of what we're here. We're trying to talk about. So what do you do? So initially you were angry.
Yep.
And then what did you do to kind of to get out of that cycle?
Well, the universe bestowed upon me the opportunity to be a father. A year and change after I got back, we had Bella. And that forced me to be a better person because I was enlightened enough to know that I could fail myself, and I had failed myself multiple times, but I could not fail innocent human being that had no cause in part of this. It was nothing she did was part of this. So I was, unfortunately, I had friends that led me to counseling, and counseling got me through my inability to cope with the readjustment from what I had done for years to now I'm now. And not as if I did 20 years. I did 8 years. That was it. I mean, It was 8 years compared to the guys that do 25, 30. But it was still enough time to create this particular patterns. And when you go overseas, even if you're not in an extremely dangerous, and full disclosure here, I was not a infantry guy out on patrols all the time, but there was still a level of danger when you're there. So you're at this heightened level of anything could go wrong at any time. At any point, a mortar could fall on your head or near you, and your lunch that you're eating just went bad.
Yeah.
So I had to undo that. I had to undo that method of anything can go wrong at any time. The problem when you have that, though, is it doesn't stop at just physical dangers. Relationships. You can't enjoy relationships because at any point that person will leave you. Yeah. And you have to be prepared for that. You can't fully embrace life because at any point something could go wrong. But that's life. Right. We had to understand that no matter what, whether I worry about it or not, that's life. So it's going to happen. So I could spend my life preparing for the fall, or I could spend my life enjoying it while it's good.
Right.
And I was not doing that part. I was just preparing for the fall. And luckily, I had somebody help me out to be able to deal with that. And I still do. We talked about it before. I still deal with those issues. It's just much less than it was before.
Right. So, and those issues are probably never going to go away.
Probably not.
Right.
Yep.
So and neither is the desire to have some sort of competition or to kind of feel that high of competition. And
Being
so,
elite. Yeah.
Being elite, right? And so here's the thing. I mean, even Olympic athletes, they are guilty of overtraining. And so you take that these people who are supposed to be at the top, they have all the resources at their disposal, and they are supposed to have all the programs perfectly designed for them. Even 28%, up to 28% of Olympic athletes are guilty of overtraining. The reason I bring that stat up is because, okay, like they still don't exactly know what to do once they're done being in that level. So what do we do? So we know that physical fitness and exercise, we talked about mental health before, that any sort of exercise helps with your mental health. It helps with, the release of the neurotransmitters they want, production of dopamine, serotonin, all that jazz. And so we need to find a way to do that. We need to put the fun into it. So that's one way to kind of help overcome is finding a physical activity that is fun and enjoyable for you to do, where there are no stakes. Doesn't matter what happens. There's no stakes. And so maybe for someone who's got a competitive a personality, that might be difficult to do, but it's easier said than done, so to speak. But that's an answer, is make things fun. Make things fun. Take the stakes out, and that's a way to kind of maintain that balance between, all right, hey, I get to be active, get to do something that kind of like it helps me mentally and physically, and then I also kind of fulfill that void, so to speak, of competition. So that's an answer.
Yep.
So I mean, in your world, are there things that you do that are fun for exercise?
Sure. So here's the thing: when we're talking about sports, there's nothing in the world that will recreate combat with another human being.
Right.
I promise you that.
No.
The high you get, and it sounds really bad, and for people who have never served or never been a fighter, you'll never know what that means, and it's okay. You're not supposed to, but you'll never recreate combat where the stakes are your life. It's a high you'll never recreate. But what you can do for athletes and stuff, and this is where something you see the transition so commonly that it makes sense. When you're no longer physically able to do this, or you're no longer required to do this, well, the government's done with you, the team that you're playing for is done with you, and the next guy's up, because there's always the youngest guy coming up in there, and no matter what you're in. Transitioning into a mentoring or a coaching lifestyle in there makes sense, because it still allows you to be in the game.
There you go.
In some capacity. Yep. And so you're satisfying your desire to be in the game. Now, if you're smart and you transition the knowledge, and you can get the similar high of doing that by facilitating another person the ability to do that. Mm-hmm. So the 21-year-old coming up with some real natural talent but has no understanding of the game, the 40-year-old coach that has played for 25 years of their life goes, all right, here's how I can help this person. And watching them succeed gives you maybe not the similar, but not the same, but a similar rush of that accomplishment of being an elite athlete or being a combat veteran or something of that aspect of it. So.
And so that kind of goes into some similar ways in terms of like helping overcoming overtraining. Some similar ways to do with that, because essentially that's kind of what you're doing. You're kind of trying to find that void, and you're trying to fill that void. And so some people, it's like, I'm going to keep practicing this elite level. So, find maybe you go. So you mentioned coaching. That's doing something a little bit different. Maybe you find a completely different sport that you want to try to participate in, and see if you can master that sport and kind of start the process. I won't say start the process all over again per se, but essentially finding the joy in it. So the first time that you played football, right? First played basketball. You did it because it was fun.
Yep.
Okay, so go find something else that's fun. And so you can do that by finding a completely new sport,
Yep.
and you get to kind of start that process all over again. Oh, hey, man, this is fun. Now that I've kind of starting to get the hang of it,
The pressure's off.
Right, pressure is off. There's no one that you're competing against.
Chad Johnson did that. You know Ocho Cinco?
Yes.
How
can I forget?
Yeah, exactly. He's a soccer player now.
Right.
He plays it at a decently high level.
Yeah.
It's a completely different sport. It's the same sport, but it's a completely different sport.
Yeah.
And he did that, and that's how he satisfied his urge to compete when he could no longer compete at the highest level where he was at.
Yeah.
And when you're competing at the highest level, the lowest level doesn't do that anymore at that sport. You can't. You don't get the rush.
Right.
You're not going to go back down to a amateur sport, and even if you're dominating there, you're not going to get the rush of that. So you're right. Completely changing sports gives you that thrill without the pressure of being the best.
Yes. Yeah.
It's a good idea.
Yeah.
It's a great idea.
That's
Wonder what I'm going to do next.
that's why I'm here.
Water polo. Water polo.
Right. So
Easy on the knees.
I think that it's the end of the day. It's come back, try to make things fun. Do something different, coach. And then listen. You can talk to someone. Talk to somebody like us. Preferably talk to a professional. Yeah. Talk to a psychologist. I did search this. I did find this. So there is an organization out there. It's called Athletes for Care. It is founded by former professional athletes. A4C is uniting athletes as one voice to advocate for research, education, and compassion when addressing important health issues. And so basically what for people who have retired, they're no longer participating in sports. It's fine to help them find a purpose in life after a career in sports by using their influence for social change. So that is one thing that you can also potentially do is maybe you get out of sports altogether. Maybe you find something in society that kind of helps, that strikes your fancy, something that you feel that we could do better as a society, and use your competitive nature, maybe your influence.
Work done, for example.
Yeah.
Because the houses for single moms.
Yeah.
That's his entire focus right now is building houses for single moms.
There you go.
Because he grew up with a single mom.
Right. Exactly.
Completely different from sports, but he's using his clout, his income, and his energy towards that.
Right. So first know that it's okay to feel the way that you feel.
Yeah.
A lot of people feel the way that you feel. They don't know what to do once they're done with that. And it's not just athletes. We're talking specifically about athletes, but anyone who has done the same thing over and over and over again, and that same thing was very demanding and ritualistic, and it's very, very intense. And now they've done, and all of a sudden they're moving on to something else. They don't know what to do. So this is for athletes, but again, find things that are fun to do. Try to coach within that sport. Try to do a different sport. Try to do something for social change. I think that's kind of our ideas for you. And always reach out. Look for a psychologist or psychiatrist in your area, and if you have something more serious to talk about. But again, that was Athletes for Care. All spelled out one word, athletesforcare.org. Check them out if you are an athlete, a former athlete, and you're looking for something to do, looking for purpose in your life after sports.
And if you're a combat veteran looking for mental health, I highly recommend the Vet Center. They're nationwide. They're funded by the VA, but separate from the VA. Their files are not accessible by the VA. So you can go in there with knowing that your problems will stay separate from VA's files. That's who I go through. I highly recommend them. The Vet Center. Google it. They're everywhere. That's for combat veterans only. So I know it has nothing to do with what we're talking about, but I always use a reason to plug that. So
have it. All right.
There you go.
We got a couple minutes.
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's end on a light note. Let's end on a light note. And it's time for everyone's favorite part of the episode. That's going to be bro science myths, or pet peeves. Honestly, we should just throw the pet peeves.
Every once in a while.
Okay, every once in a while. I don't know. We've been on a bro science.
I know we have.
Myths run.
Try not to rant at people all the time.
Donnie, I'm assuming that to get this physique, you stop eating. You only eat between the hours of 10 a.m. and you definitely stop and don't eat past 7 p.m., right?
Lettuce. That's my lettuce.
Right? So no night eating.
No night eating. God, you know what's funny is my fiance not only watches this but produces this, and I couldn't say that with a straight face because she would just smack me. No, night eating. Who came up with that? The only reason I could think that would be a good reason is to keep you, because if you sat there and just ate ice cream all night and you could not stop yourself, right. The only way to say is don't eat. I guess so, but whatever. But yeah, go ahead with your this. We're obviously talking about the myth of don't eat at night, because apparently you're gonna get fat if you eat at night.
Right, you're gonna get fat if you eat at night.
Because Ronnie Coleman didn't wake up at 3 a.m. and eat a meal, but he got freaking fat. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. So listen. Okay. Quickly, 2015 meta-analysis published in the nutrition journal Nutrients. Basically, it doesn't matter when you eat. It's all about what you eat. Weird how that works. That it's more about the quality of the stuff you put in your gullet and not the quantity or the timing or any other factor. It's, make sure you're eating something that's actually nutritious. So it's just, that's it. I don't know what else to tell you. Go check out that journal article. And again, really the takeaway here is that it's about the calories themselves, not about the time.
And I would implore you not to starve yourself. So don't say that after 7 o'clock. Maybe make a change. Say after 7 o'clock, I only eat fruits and vegetables or something of that nature. If you're gonna eat bad, where you want your candy or something like that, which I'm not saying you can't eat or whatever, but okay, maybe you don't have that at that time because you may overindulge. But to say you can't eat past 7, it's just not true. Now, there's different ways of looking at things, but to say that you're going to get fat if you eat at night is scaring people with misinformation. And I hate misinformation, even if it's not what they want to hear. Misinformation is not the way to scare people into compliancy. No. Do it with facts. Do it with logic. Talk to people like they're intelligent, and maybe you might get an intelligent response.
That was a very appropriate comment in this day and age.
God.
Misinformation is not the way to get compliance.
No, it's not. Please.
Good.
Try to have some faith in human intelligence every now and then.
Right. Good. Yeah, really. I mean, it's about how many calories you eat. It's about what the calories are made of. Just don't eat a crap ton of ice cream, and you won't get fat any time of the day.
Seriously.
All right. On that note,
Done.
Donnie, where can they see your midnight pictures of you eating ice cream?
Right here. Not on Instagram. If you want to see flexing poses of me and some training videos of my athletes and stuff, and some funny stuff every now and then, Instagram.com/Donnie Kiernan. And then the gym is located at Facebook.com/Strength and Performance Institute. There you go.
I am Dr. Hayes Estes, the owner of Premier Physical Therapy and Sports Performance here in Clearwater. We're on Facebook.com/PT and Sports Therapy. We're on the Instagram at Run. One more time, Ashley. I'm never going to stop. Run Tampa Bay. You'll find us. We're there. I post some fun stuff. Maybe I don't flex as much as Donnie, but I'm on there. We're on there.
I love to see myself flex. It's bad.
All right. And this episode is brought to you by Narcissism.
Narcissism. The good kind.
We're out!
If you're ready,
we'll wing it. We'll figure it out.
I'm ready. I'm not winging this one. This is actually a good one for me.
No, I meant the intro.
Oh, the intro. Yeah. We always wing the intro.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the point of it. That's the fun part. I don't want to know about that.
All right. On that note.
Ding.